You're probably leaving $20,000 to $50,000 or even more on the table each and every month because of your sales process. And it's not because you're lazy. It's not because you're incompetent. You're probably just missing a few of these nuances. And I know this because I've worked with over 1,000 clients at this point, and I see the same pattern over and over and over again. Business owners spending time booking in calls, spending time in the DMs to get those people there to the call, spending loads on ads, creating amazing content, building authority, and seemingly doing everything right. But here's what's wild. It's usually not the offer, it's not the leads, and it's not even the sales script. There's 6 subconscious things that are absolutely destroying their ability to close deals. Things that seem small, things that most people would never even think to look at. But when you fix them, the results are absolutely insane. I'm talking about doubling your close rate in the next 30 days without changing anything else about your offer or your marketing. And I'm going to walk you through all of them right now. Because the first one is something that most business owners completely overlook, and it's costing you deals each and every day. I'm not even talking about the obvious things, the offer, the script, the lead quality. I'm assuming that you've got that dialed in already. I'm talking about the subconscious things that make people buy or not buy. Those small things that make people have a good feeling or bad feeling about you. If you've ever been on a call and people don't want to commit, but there's no real reason, they need to think about it or it doesn't feel right. This is what I'm talking about. So let's start with authority content. People want to work with authorities. They want to work with somebody who looks the part, acts the part, and what do? They stalk you. I'm not even joking. They stalk you online, they'll stalk your social media, and they'll see everything that you do. So it's important that you look like a professional in your industry. People don't just want to work with the person who's 1% better than them. Don't believe that lie. If a roofer or a plumber showed up at your house in a full 3-piece suit, what would you think? Would you be confident in his abilities to do the job if they're in a blazer and shirt and tie? It would just seem weird. So you want to be cohesive and you want to show that authority content to your audience. You need to post content about what you do, who you help, your methods, and your processes. So back to that example, let's take the plumber. If there's a plumber who just, he's a good plumber, but he shows just his life, what he does on the weekends, going out to dinner, cool, nothing wrong. But now let's say you have another plumber who's just equally as good and shows how he solves the problems for people, explains the process, shows how he fixes pipes, how he installs toilets and stuff, shows videos of him doing stuff at people's houses. Who would you choose? The person who picked, or the plumber rather, who posted all that for a year would get my business over one who just posted about his personal life. And tied to authority content is emotional control. Because sure, you might post the content, but people aren't just seeing the good. They're seeing every single thing that you do, everything you post, and often lots of your comments. Not just comments on your own posts, but comments on other pages. So I see many people, they claim to be big coaches and consultants, and all of a sudden they are arguing over politics, over religion, over wars, and sharing opinions that are just going to turn people off. It's not about not being yourself, because people say, I want to be authentic. It's not that. You could be on the same side as my beliefs, but when I see you have the time to entertain, arguing back and forth on the internet, you've just lost me. And trust me, because people are stalking you, they see this. Again, it's not about your beliefs. I don't care if you have the same beliefs as me. I want to work with somebody who's a winner, somebody who's about their business, not somebody who has that lack of emotional control. Do you see the CEO of Mercedes-Benz from his profile, commenting or arguing over that stuff? You don't. So if you use your social media for business, use them for business. I'm not saying don't share any personal life, especially with personal brands nowadays. It's important. Share what you do. Share yourself going out. Share yourself with family. All these things. It's not the same, though, as taking time out of your day to argue and fight with people online. Also, just posting nonsense. People just have that lack of emotional control. They can't help but, let's say somebody cut them off in traffic and they have to come and write about it. Successful people do not do this. And look around, you will see they do not. But for some reason, everybody feels they need to talk about the person who wronged them or something that happened in their personal life. No one cares, and it just makes you look worse. You can be transparent, you can be authentic, but there's a difference between just making yourself look worse. And you're losing deals because you cannot control your emotions. Even at the time of recording this, last weekend, people were arguing over the Super Bowl. the halftime show specifically. You can have your thoughts about the Super Bowl, but you don't have to argue it back and forth and going back and forth with people. Now, for us in our business, we're helping people and making money. The Super Bowl people aren't arguing over your business. The NFL, they don't care about you, so why are you doing that? Moving on, authority positioning. So you've got your content, but authority positioning. You get on the call and you might look nervous. I've seen people who not just look nervous, but they look unprepared. They look like they just got out of bed and just turned on the call 10 seconds before they show up, like, oh no, I have to close this, I have to do that. Take a minute. Take a minute. I've seen people not presentably dressed, and it can be as simple as ironing your clothes and looking presentable. We want these people to spend thousands with us, right? Yet people are eating on calls, there's mess in the background. I've seen it all. Live how you live, but make an effort. So, yeah, you might have things, but turn the camera a little bit, move some of the mess out of the way, put some light on, iron your clothes, show up presentably, dress how somebody in your field would be perceived as a person of value. Make an effort, because it's also indicative of other things in your life, and it's just a bit of respect. It shows people, if you are showing up this way for them now, this is probably how you'll show up for them once they begin working with you. Tied in with that is having a cohesive brand. So if someone's paying you thousands, right, actually think about that, and your social presence looks bad, right? It doesn't really look indicative of someone who could help them do that and should be charging thousands. It's not that you can't help. I'm sure you have a bloody good product and you help, but you're not showing up as a premium business. Most high-ticket coaching programs, actually, let me demonstrate this. Most high-ticket coaching programs, they cost more than this. They cost more than the Apple products that we complain about costing so much. The phones, the iPads, the MacBooks. Our programs cost more than that typically. Let that sink in. Apple shows up so professionally and we still charge more. So if we show up unprofessionally, this makes people unsure and makes them lose confidence in us. It doesn't need to be a luxury professional brand. I'm not telling you have to go and spend 6 figures on branding, no. But look clean and look the part and make everything tie in together, part of a cohesive brand. So show up professionally and cleanly on all the places. They shouldn't see you in one place and think another place, like, what is this? They don't know. Cohesion. Moving forward from that is now pre-work. So specifically your sales process. Because the call isn't where you sell. Most, if not all of the selling is done before the call. And I'll let you answer this for yourself. If you've bought on a call before, do you really just wait until the call to make a decision? Or you probably know before the call that you're already going to buy, and the call is just to dot the I's, cross the T's, and pay me please, as I like to say. It's just to see if the offer's a fit. So your sales process, and people will judge your system, especially if you're in B2B. B2C as well, but especially B2B. So let me give a B2B example. Let's say you help businesses scale. And then let's say they go to your booking form. Once they book the call, they get a confirmation email. Once they book the call, they get moved to a thank you page with a thank you video telling them what to expect. It tells them what to expect on the call. It thanks them for booking in. It instructs them to save it to their calendar, what to bring to the call, what things to do before the call. And then let's say it shows your case studies below and it links them to your YouTube for them to binge. And maybe has a link to your Facebook group or school community. Then in their inbox, they get email reminders, they get SMS text message reminders, they get value-based emails. You deliver them case studies and they might see that on the page as well. It really sets the stage. And I'm just touching the tip of the iceberg. They might even get a text message with a voice note or a selfie from you or something like that. And guess what they're thinking in that moment? They are thinking, wow, this company has everything on point. They are professional. So you're creating that environment for them to buy. And if you don't have this, this is what you're up against. This is what your competition would have. And actually, most people don't do this. So if you do this, you'll be well ahead of the curve. That's what people think. They think, wow, this is professional. This is good. And they think, this person actually does this for a living. They don't just think you're some random kind of coach or info business that just puts out a couple of posts and turns on a camera on Zoom and talks to them. They think you actually have a genuine product, a genuine service, a genuine system. You really do this. You get clients and you can help them. Obviously, you should. But now this is conveying that to them as well. And so subconsciously, they think about what you can do for them. But even if not B2B, even if you are helping people speak better, fix their marriage, get more dates, get in better shape, lose weight, it shows professionalism and builds trust. Who do you trust more? Who do you think is more professional? Who do you think serves more clients? The person who does this or the person who doesn't? It's like going to a warehouse, an abandoned warehouse, to buy a car versus buying that same car in a professional showroom. It simply creates the environment, and you're creating the environment for them to buy. If you don't do this, you're creating the environment for them not to buy. And like I said, you need all this because they are shopping around. I don't care what anyone tells you. You are in competition. And I know that because when I book a call, you better believe that's not the only call I'm booking. I'm going around the competition, and other people do that too. And I'm sure you'll agree that you do that as well. And what do you think people do if they don't buy from you? Do you really think they're just going to give up and say, well, you know, I don't want to solve that problem. Kay couldn't help me lose weight, so I'll just be fat forever. No, they are not. If they're not spending that money with you, they are spending it somewhere else. Now that you've done all that pre-stuff, they should be very, very well nurtured. And then the call is to just make sure the offer is a fit, or dot the I's, cross the T's, pay me please. And on the call, the main thing is presentation. So like I said, a clean aesthetic, shot professionally, clothes, all that stuff, the background, but more so the way you speak now. Clear, cohesive, not too many ums, ahs, right? Yeah. That stuff instills doubt. And sales is simply a transfer of confidence and conviction. Now, you don't need to be Jeremy Bloody Minor, but you do have to have some confidence and hold the frame. And I'm not even saying that I'm perfect at this, but you need to get better. You have to be able to be controlled, you have to be able to speak presentably, and you have to be able to answer their questions and be well equipped because they're coming to you as the expert for advice. So you want to appear sharp, enthusiastic, and as a true expert in your field. You might know where I got that from. But I'm not talking like over the top, enthusiastic, like crazy. But no, like be sharp, be knowledgeable, be enthusiastic. You genuinely want to help them. And an expert in your field. Like if someone went to a doctor or a medical professional, you want to be that professional. And don't fall over objections. If you pre-nurture and everything correctly, you don't get as many. But if you do get them and they do come up, you need to demonstrate, hey, you've done this before. This is normal for you. And they'll fall into your frame. So if I get objections, I don't freak out. I don't argue back and forth. Cool. I genuinely want to see how I can help them. I'll be on the same side as the prospect and we'll see if we can make it work or if we can't. You just want to show, hey, I've done this before. Because if they see you freak out, you've lost the frame. And if they see that this is normal for you, you've done it before and you don't freak out, they'll fall into your frame. So basically what I'm saying is do your homework. Because if you have that knowledge, that stuff isn't going to trip you up. And with AI now, it is super simple as well. So it's not going to replace you doing the reps and just having that knowledge. But let's say for objection handling, you could have an objection handling GPT. You could save all the objections you've gotten and all possible ones that you can think of and a framework to handle them. And if you come up against any that you get stumped on, you could search it up. They won't even know you're doing it. Now, over time, you want to have those instilled, but you can use that in the meantime. So you can have an objection handling GPT or some other knowledge base if you get stuck and you can ask it in real time. Again, this won't replace your skills, but it can supplement them. And it's simple, but most people are too lazy to set this up. So what have we talked about here? All these things here. But one of the key ones is actually who you should be talking to and who you shouldn't. So pre-qualification. You're getting on the call with unqualified people a lot of the time. Rule number 1, you only want to sell to people who are able and willing. So sure, you can hard close people if they're not willing or if they're not able or financially or whatever. But what's the point? They're going to be a nightmare to work with. You'll develop a bad reputation. And what you'll actually do is for every one you close, you'll probably lose 20 bad people. You just waste your time on 20 people for the one that you close. Instead, why don't you score your leads based on certain criteria? So let's say you score them 1 to 5, or you score them A to E, or whatever it is. So if they're in a low criteria, if they're in a developing country, that could be a D or an E score for you. If they're unemployed or low budget, or they have a low desire to solve the problem, score them lower. And if you're below a certain lead score, or if the lead is below a certain score, don't even attempt to sell them. Just cancel the call. Remember, people are applying to work with you. Houses have pre-approvals for a reason. And again, for every one you get over the line, You're going to waste your time with 20 unqualified people. So what is the point? Just focus on the qualified ones. And then after all that process and having done the call, sometimes you close, sometimes you don't, but quite often are time delays. Time kills all deals. I wish I could just reach through the screen and tattoo that on everybody's head. So I'm going to repeat it. Time kills all deals. If they don't buy on the call, the chances that they'll buy in the future drops significantly. Okay, but you talk about follow-up. Yeah, I do. Many will buy through follow-up, yes, but you will also lose many deals. Some people will go and buy from your competition. Some people will try and fix it themselves. Some people will leave the market. There's so many factors. So if there is a logistical reason to delay, someone could be moving. They could just be curious right now and working in another program. Wife could be pregnant, could be moving countries, could have broken their leg, whatever it is. I recommend an acronym I heard, BAMFAM. Book a meeting from a meeting. So if there is a genuine reason to delay, no worries. Again, take it in your stride. Cool, Mr. Prospect. No worries. This happens all the time. I get that. I'm with you. I agree. But stay on them, because if you don't do it, it won't materialize. Have you ever heard prospects say, I'll get back to you? Yeah, how often does that happen? So you need to do whatever it takes. You can't close them all, but too many salespeople quit way too early. Whether it's follow-up or maybe changing something, there is a way that you could get the deal done. What would it take? In the whole universe of possibilities, there is a way that you could close the deal, right? It may be too much, but it might not be. Ask. What if they just needed something extra? What if they just needed the payment schedule extended? What if they just needed some reassurance? Or what if they didn't understand how something worked and they needed more clarity? What if they couldn't do the full amount now? Could you take a deposit? What if they wanted to pay in a different, like a crypto or something? So do what you can to facilitate the deal. Have some urgency. And then also, I recommend dropping the guard and doing things in their best interest if you can genuinely help them. So I've had people where, like, for some reason, it just can't close. Everything seems like a fit. They want to do it. They could see we could really help, but we just can't move them forward. Then I've dropped the guard and I've just spoken to them. We want to be humans all the time, but even more so here, I've said things like, hey, do you mind if I just make an observation? I can sense that you're a bit nervous. Is that right? Is it just nerves? Or are you a bit scared? Is something scaring you? I know you've had some bad experiences in the past. Are you just scared of that happening again? And then I can mitigate that. How can we guarantee that doesn't happen to them? What can we do to remove that risk and remove that fear? And then we end up doing it. So let me recap everything we've covered, because if you implement these, you could literally double your close rate in the next 30 days without changing anything about your offer or delivery, like I said. So I'm going to run through them really quickly. Authority, content, and emotional control. Posting things that are genuinely going to help people and demonstrate your expertise in what you do. Authority positioning, making sure you look the part and being congruent across social media so that you're not confusing people. Pre-work, making sure you deliver people as much education and information upfront as possible as you reasonably can, because you're not trying to educate on the call, you're just trying to see if it's a fit. Presentation, presenting yourself and your company well on the call. Be sharp, be knowledgeable, and be enthusiastic. Pre-qualification, only taking calls with the best leads. And delays. Going the extra mile and thinking, how could I help this person genuinely solve this problem? Now, I've given you some real actionable steps in this video, and if you implement even one of these things, I am certain you will see a massive improvement in your sales revenue and close rate. But here's the reality. There's a lot more to building a well-functioning high-ticket coaching business than just these things. There's traffic, there's lead generation strategies, creating sales and marketing assets that educate, nurture, and build trust on autopilot. There's ascension strategies, there's ways to monetize the market, including those who don't buy. And there's all the facets I talked about in how to strategically pre-sell people before the call in your content and assets. And all of those are crucial in your coaching business. So if you want to implement all that, I've left a link below where you can apply to work with us to see if it would be a fit to install an inbound client acquisition ecosystem into your business and get an additional 5 to 10 high-ticket clients per month or even more. So click there and apply. Otherwise, go and check out some of my other videos here on this channel. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and I'll see you soon on the next video. Cheers.